COVID rescue package.
Nearly 80 million people impacted by winter storms, halting travel in the Northeast. I'm Nancy Chen in New York, which is now under a state of emergency.
And with a reduced audience for the Super Bowl, the NFL finds a creative approach to fill the stands.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A group of Republican senators release a counter-proposal for a new coronavirus relief package. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes. The GOP proposal is much smaller than President Biden's $1.9 trillion plan. The two sides are meeting this afternoon to try and find a compromise. The Republican plan is a $600 billion package. Key differences include cutting stimulus checks from $1,400 to $1,000 and only sending them to people in lower income brackets. Democrats say they're prepared to act with or without Republican support. Both the White House plan and the GOP counterproposal set aside $160 billion to increase COVID vaccine distribution, testing, and PPE supplies. Officials with the Jasper County Sheriff's Office say a person of interest in the murder of Becky Sanders of Sarcoxie has been found dead in Alabama. A tip led the Alabama-Coleman County Sheriff to a garage apartment. Deputies surrounded the house there and attempted to call Justin Stevens out, but Stevens did not respond. When deputies entered the garage, they found Stevens dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Well, it was definitely a cold start to the work week this morning. Michael Hayslip joining us with the first look at the forecast.
Then again, it's only February. But then again, wait till we get to the 7-day forecast and you look till the middle of the week and you go, what is Mother Nature dangling in front of us here? A little carrot in the form of a warming trend. We're finally starting to get the clouds to break up. We waited for this all morning long, and now we see blue sky, patches of blue sky albeit, over the Freeman Health System sky camera. That's allowed us to move from below the freezing mark up to 36 degrees. Now, we still do have a wind chill that feels like it's 29, but that's because our wind continues to come in from the north. Positive aspect of this, comparatively speaking to where we were earlier this morning when we saw 10 to 15 miles per hour, we've been able to keep that pretty much close to single digits. So even though that wind chill has about 7-8 degree difference, we are beginning our little bit of a warm up. As a matter of fact, our weather trend's still going to send us into the 40s for the first day of February, just a little bit below where we'd normally be this time of year. But here's the nice thing, even though we're going to dip back below freezing overnight, by the time we get into Tuesday, we're going to begin to roll some high 40s, low 50s. Now look at this, 51 Tuesday, 56 Wednesday, 60 on Thursday. But Tanya gave you that cringe here when we started First Weather because she knew what was headed into the weekend right there. And that's some extremely cold weather. Tell you what, Nathan, let's run back to the national perspective really fast because when we talk about cold weather, we've got ourselves an absolute mess from the Tennessee River Valley all the way up to New England. I know Tanya's got the latest in that with Nation Watch.
That's right. The Northeast is in the grips of a major snowstorm that has already dropped more than a foot of snow in parts of the Midwest. Winter storm advisories and warnings stretch all the way up to Maine. The storm is also bringing with it strong winds with the threat of power outages and flooding along the coast. Nancy Chen reports from New York City, which is expected to get around 1.5 feet of snow, possibly more.
Plow trucks are working to keep up with the snow in New York City as a massive winter storm slams large areas of the eastern United States. The snow is expected to last through Tuesday, driving snow totals way up.
That's anywhere from, 18 plus inches of snow to maybe 2.5 feet of snow. So there's going to be a lot of heavy snow.
In the Midwest, which was hit hard over the weekend, the dig out is underway. Some parts of Wisconsin saw more than 1 foot of snow. The storm is also causing accidents. This tractor trailer ended up in a ditch after spinning out in Ohio overnight.
The snow is coming down steadily here in New York City. The mayor has issued a state of emergency and is asking everyone to stay home until tomorrow.
The storm forced officials to cancel and reschedule coronavirus vaccine appointments.
We need to keep people safe. We don't want folks, especially seniors, going out in unsafe conditions to get vaccinated.
And it's not just snow. The storm is also expected to bring strong winds and coastal flooding. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Forecasters say wind gusts could get up to 45 to 55 miles per hour in the New York City area, up to 75 miles per hour on Cape Cod, and that could lead to massive power outages. Tens of thousands of protesters rallied across Russia on Sunday, chanting slogans against President Vladimir Putin and demanding the release of Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny. In World Watch, violent clashes broke out with riot police who arrested more than 5,000 people. The U.S. is calling for Russia to release Navalny, who survived an assassination attempt last summer. The military has taken control of Myanmar, once known as Burma, in an apparent overnight coup. Civilian leaders of the Southeast Asian country have been detained, including Nobel Peace Prize recipient Aung San Suu Kyi. The military alleges election fraud in November's parliamentary polls, although Myanmar's election commission has rejected that claim. Aung San Suu Kyi's governing party won an even bigger landslide than before in 2015. The now 75-year-old democracy icon spent 15 years under house arrest, peacefully protesting against the junta. In 1991, she won her Nobel Prize. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, how a printing business has taken on the challenge of filling the Super Bowl stadium with fans. And later, we're making raspberry streusel muffins in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Super Bowl 55 will look very different than any other Super Bowl because of the pandemic. Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida will host Sunday's big game between the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. But because of COVID, the stadium will be more than half empty. Jamie Yukas is in Tampa to show us how the NFL is getting creative to make the stadium look full.
5-10 years ago, this print right now would take us about an hour to print. But with these speeds and these new lights, it takes about 45 seconds.
Jared Smith has been in the printing business for more than 20 years. His Tempe, Arizona company, Blue Media, and their 120,000 square foot factory was tapped by the NFL to help with a Super Bowl-sized problem.
The league had a challenge of, do we fill the stadium with cutouts? Do we play in a half-empty stadium? What is socially responsible as far as the amount of fans that we can allow?
The answer? A bit of both. Alongside the tens of thousands of real fans who will be socially distanced inside Raymond James Stadium will be these plastic recyclable cardboard-like cutouts submitted from football fans around the world. They're all created here in Arizona and all part of the NFL's program called Fans in the Stands. For $100 per cutout, fans uploaded their photos online, with all proceeds going to charity.
I think we'll be producing between 20 and 30,000 cutouts for the Super Bowl by the time it's all said and done. You know, every single one of these, they're actual people and they're from all over the country, and it's cool to see almost everybody is smiling, just the concept that they're going to get to be in the game.
Just like their living counterparts, the cutouts started showing up in Tampa this past weekend.
Who's this first one?
Look at that.
Oh, Minnesota Viking Matt Burke.
Okay.
Did you know I'm a Viking fan?
I did not know that. We opened it up to each segment.
Jason Baker is the director of execution for Blue Media and is responsible for installation.
We'll have basically a 7-day install from now till the 6th, so all the way up till Saturday night. Game time's on the 7th, and then we tear it all out on the 8th.
They're being specially grouped, including sections for military veterans, healthcare workers, and cancer survivors.
One of the cool stories, once we installed those, we saw 30, 35 mile an hour winds, and the fan cutouts were moving a little bit. At first we were concerned, but when you step back, it kind of looked like the fans were cheering, and it was really cool.
Blue Media made sure they put in a special order on their production line. Let's go ahead and show you who's going to be in attendance this Sunday, along with tens of thousands of others: Gail, Tony, and Anthony. Jamie Yukas, CBS News, Tampa.
I think Michael and I should go as well. You can watch the Super Bowl 55 this Sunday right here on KOAM. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Whether or not Punxsutawney Phil sees his shadow tomorrow, we've got a rise and shine muffin that'll be welcome beyond a shadow of a doubt.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your real forecast.
Want to go back to the Freeman Health System sky camera because just in the past 10 minutes, we're starting to see a whole lot more blue skies. So as we open up the month of February and in January, let's talk about our precipitation here because we're about 4/10 of an inch, or 2 inches actually above normal. Now last year, we were at 3.66. Now remember historically, how wet 2020 was. Well, you have to remember, it really didn't set in 2020 until about February to May. So this will be interesting, the fact that we've got a leg up, 2021 does, on 2020. We'll kind of monitor that as we go along because by the time we get to the end of the 7-day forecast, that yearly number is going to increase. Go back to the Freeman Health System sky camera so we can talk about some temperatures, sitting at 36 degrees right now. Got a wind chill kicking in of 29. Now earlier this morning, we were rolling 10 to 15, even picked up some 20-mile-per-hour gusts. Two key factors. Number one, we're going to roll 5 to 10 miles per hour. But number two, earlier this morning, working in from the northwest. Now we're starting to see the shift. And while it's due north throughout the course of the afternoon, eventually, by the time we get into Monday night, Tuesday morning, we'll have an easterly breeze. And that's going to be a key factor for temperatures here by the middle of the week. 37 in Parsons, 35 in Neosho. Let's roll 35 as well in Pittsburgh. Also, there's our little patch of blue sky. Now I know if you live out on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri, it seemed like an overcast Monday, but hey, afternoon's not over. And as we break up and everything moves off to the east, high pressure system behind it, that is going to mean some additional sunshine. And you can tell right where we have that color contour where the clouds begin to break, we also have some warmer temperatures. This is the mess that we were talking about earlier with the trough of the jet stream, and we got a winter storm ranging from the Tennessee River Valley all the way up through the northeastern portion of the United States. Now, if we take in this little piece of Georgia right there, we've got winter storm warnings, watches, advisories that last from Georgia all the way to Maine. This encompasses about 80 million Americans through that because, of course, you've got your major northeastern cities smack dab in the middle of blizzard-like conditions to begin their February. So all of a sudden, our first 4 days of the month look absolutely glorious. Even though our average high this time of year would be about 47. We'll get to 42, 43. So we're oh so close. But then as we dip in overnight, back below freezing. But don't let that discourage you because we're going to be able to roll 50s beginning tomorrow. And then we'll keep on warming up for Wednesday, even into Thursday. So let's go ahead and pick back up on Wednesday when we're going to get up into the mid-50s because what we're going to have is the beginning of a low pressure system that's going to come in off the Pacific Northwest, and as it encompasses us for Thursday, number one, our temperature is going to top out about the noon hour on Thursday, then slowly work down. We're going to start with rain. Then as we drop below the freezing mark and all this pushes off, we're not done yet because we're going to see some snow on both Saturday day and then night. Here's the nice thing. Sunday, boom. We know the logo right there. Sunday is going to be the perfect day to stay inside. Flip that television on. Watch coverage of Super Bowl 55 to your heart's content with your family, social distancing, perhaps Zooming with friends and fans, and then 5:30 kickoff right here on KOAM.
That's right. It's going to be a good weekend.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember Super Bowl Sunday last year where we talked about, hey, if you want to get outside, it was actually abnormally warm for that. We talked about getting outside and then making it back in for the game. Nah, this year you just lock in,
Just
turn up
stay
the
in there.
furnace, and enjoy the coverage.
Just watch it indoors.
Yep.
That's right. Thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's fourth state hero, Private First Class William Lamb Sr., who served in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Galena, Kansas, served as a heavy machine gunner with the 65th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Gun Battalion. He fought on the Aleutian Islands from 1941 to 1945. Private Lamb earned the Good Conduct Medal and the American Defense Service Ribbon. To Private William Lamb Sr., we thank you, our fourth state hero. Today's recipe is guaranteed to be a welcome treat at any breakfast table. Howard shows us how to make raspberry streusel muffins in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
I want to give you a heads up that tomorrow is Groundhog Day. So after you get up and make your morning coffee, you're going to want to see if Punxsutawney Phil sees his shadow. Let's hope he doesn't so we can say goodbye to winter. And while you're waiting, we have a Rise and Shine muffin that'll go perfect with your coffee. We start out by mixing together some melted butter, a bit of milk, an egg, and a splash of vanilla until they're well combined. Now, to that, we add our dry ingredients, which is simply some flour, sugar, baking powder, and a touch of salt. Once the batter is smooth, we gently stir in some fresh raspberries, and we want to be careful not to break them up. And now for the part that turns ordinary muffins into extraordinary muffins. After we spoon the batter into muffin cups, we top these with a mixture we made by combining some flour and brown sugar with a bit of melted butter. And don't be surprised if everyone begins sticking their heads out of their bedroom doors while these are baking. No, they're not looking for their shadow, but wondering what smells so darn good. Of course, it'll be these raspberry streusel muffins. And like always, the recipe's online, which is perfect no matter how many more weeks of winter lie ahead. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we discovered muffins that, beyond a shadow of a doubt, are ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Clouds breaking up into the low to mid 40s later today, but look at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Let that warming trend kick in before the cold front gets us just before the weekend. But it's going to be a perfect Sunday to get inside, find that living room with your friends and family, socially distanced, 5:30 right here on KOAM. Over to Dow with a look at what's coming up tonight at 5.
A lot of colleges are welcoming students back to campus for a new semester after being partially or fully remote for most of 2020. We're going to look at how schools are revamping classrooms and common areas to keep kids safe. Plus, it's Mirror Monday at Webb City schools as students dress like their favorite Chiefs players. And a Missouri bill that would help a local nonprofit expand and give more people a home-like environment at the end of their life. Hope you join us. KOAM News at 5.
All right, thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.